Hey everybody, it is about lunchtime on Friday, and this is about the time I usually turn on my office tank. This one tends to stay on fairly late at night, so I don't get it turned on until I either get home from work or sometime after lunchtime. So today we're going to go ahead and get the light turned on. Just showing you what the tank looks like between light and dark. But the topic of this video is actually going to be about my new air pump that I just got. You'll notice the air stone in the back. That is not putting out very much air. It may look like it on camera, but it really isn't. It's just this tiny little drizzle of bubbles making it to the surface, and that's adequate for what my purposes are at the moment. I'm not really trying to do a lot of vigorous aeration, but I do want some additional aeration in the tank since I'm currently medicating it. I don't know if the medication I'm using requires more oxygen or not, but it's never a bad idea to put an air stone in the tank when you're medicating, because a lot of times medication will oxidize stuff in the tank and it needs that additional oxygen. So always put an air stone in your tank when you're medicating, unless of course the instructions say otherwise. So the thing I'm concerned about is why my air pumps always seem to kind of fizzle out. They just don't really last a long time, except the air pumps that I put in tanks where they just run continually. In those tanks, I have no reduction in airflow, or no noticeable reduction in airflow, for years on end. The only time the airflow slows down is when the air stone starts getting clogged up. As soon as I put a new air stone on it, everything starts flowing again. But those are only on the air pumps that I run continually. And the more I've been thinking about it, I'm beginning to wonder if something akin to dry rot is not going on inside some of these filters, because the filters that I have that I only use periodically, like this one for example, I'm sorry, the air pumps, not the filters, the air pumps that I only use periodically, such as this one, never really seem to last very long. After a few years, I start getting this really reduced airflow. And on one occasion, I actually pulled the air filter out of the bottom of the air pump. Here, let me put you on pause and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, if you look at this air pump, you'll see on the bottom it has that little hole. I have put that in there myself. That is actually a piece of melamine sponge, magic eraser. It's porous enough that it actually acts as an air filter and allows the air to flow through there. But these will come with like a little cotton plug stuffed in there, and that is the air intake. That's where the fresh air gets sucked in for the pump to pump it into your tank. And on one occasion, one of these was so dirty it almost looked black, and I pulled it out of there with a pair of tweezers. I replaced it with a little piece of this melamine sponge here, and I got a greatly increased airflow. And so I even shot a video about that with the assumption that those air filters are what clogs up. And so what I did was replace the air filter. I got more increased airflow, and then after a few days I got less and less airflow, and then it almost completely stopped. Now that wasn't this filter, this is just one that I've tried that again. But on the other filter, it was a very, very temporary fix, and then it stopped working again. And I even noticed with this filter, as I'm moving it around in my hand, I'm getting more or less airflow coming in here. So again, this makes me wonder if something's not going on. Look, I shake it. I'm shaking the air pump, and when I do, I get much more vigorous bubbles. So something is definitely going on internally in this air pump here. I gotta set this back down, hang on. And I don't understand exactly what it is. The pumps that I just let run continually just never seem to give me any problems. They just tick over like a clock for years and years on end. The ones that I use intermittently and then put back on the shelf for months and months until I need to use an air stone again, those never seem to last me very long. So it's got to be something to do with the intermittent use. And again, there's no real point to this video other than speculating. I'd like to hear other people's thoughts or opinions. Have you had a similar experience? Have you ever pulled one apart and found the diaphragm and found out whether or not that diaphragm was torn? Because that's my assumption, is over time the rubber diaphragm in there starts either dry rotting or it gets a little tear in it, and then the more you use it, the bigger the tear gets. Not really sure, but the air stones or the air pumps I use intermittently never really seem to last me very long. So we got a new one for this tank, and it just arrived today. That's actually why I'm thinking about it. I do still recommend the Tetra Whisper air pumps. They're really, really quiet. They work great unless you set them on the shelf for years at a time. Again, I don't know why, but that seems to be the issue. The ones that I've put on my tank and just let run forever, indefinitely, continuously, never had a problem with those. So make what you want out of that. If you've got an air pump that you're going to be using intermittently, maybe you don't want to buy the Tetra Whisper. Maybe some other brands out there don't have this issue. So again, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on that. So leave a comment down below. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that like button, all that good YouTube stuff. You hear it on every video you watch, I'm sure. So thanks for doing all that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you real soon in the next one.